The Space God Memoirs. Season 3, Episode 17. I wound my way through the crystalline maze, my astral body zipping through this bardo realm, its walls constantly moving and shifting. As I surged forward, the corridors behind me would close, eliminating all chance of exit. Sometimes the tunnel ahead of me would slam shut, and another would open on the side, forcing me to instantly course correct. At other times, the walls themselves would become fluid, grasping towards me as they glowed with static energy. But here I flew with the speed of spirit, removed from the limits of my physical body. As I continued to pilot myself through this dream fortress, I could hear the walls echoing with Suvar's thoughts. They were not truly walls of crystal. Like the rest of the bardo, they were composed of finer stuff, the essence of what Atra truly was. This was all him, his childhood on Garub, all his worries and fears and trauma, and all the love, too. Him and Ninda, memories of cuddling together at the roots of the great tree, of making love and exploring their world. Then losing her, seeing himself exalted, brought into the realm of the Nayar gods, as the one he loved was left behind. Just like when I'd linked with him before, those memories and feelings were my own. And I could feel the frustration and rage underpinning it, the origin of those amoeba things that had appeared outside, whose essence made up the corridors of his construct. The shimmering walls held images of all of his departed friends, those brave heroes who had fought beside Suvar in their epic quest to free Garub, only to become victims of the Nayar's trials, their lives taken from them. Their souls cycled back into the system, Ninda dying in his arms. He was the last survivor then, the lone hero, ascending into glory, but without his dear ones by his side. Tabalnak appeared on those walls as well, the wise-faced mentor who Suvar wanted to respect, wanted to cherish with all his heart, but couldn't help resent and distrust. The mentor who had kept secrets from him, who had lied to him, taken him into this world of rigid virtues and automated goodness, a world where Suvar still felt alone, disconnected from the people around him by artificial intelligence, holograms, and technology. His greatest talent was working with these devices, with this divine machine that was the monad. So connected, yet so separated from everything that really mattered, from people, from the world, from himself. The semi-fluid walls would reach for me as I passed, drawn to my own misgivings, my self-doubt, my disconnection, which I had felt even more acutely since arriving at the cosmic conduit. Were Suvar and I so different? Tendril groped towards me, but I dodged aside, using my stealth mind patterns to deflect it. No, we weren't different. Uncomfortably similar. I could have gone the way of Suvar given another course. Scrag, maybe I still could. And as I coasted along, turning and navigating those twisting tunnels of crystallized thought, I knew that's why I needed to stop the kid, and save him too. Eventually I could sense I was coming to the end of this fortress, flying through an elaborate archway, as the narrow corridors opened into a great expanse. Suvar appeared before me, larger than in the physical, in the center of that churning ocean of emotion, before the backdrop of an immense eye, the iris like a vast purple lake, its cornea swirling with a virtual atmosphere of clouds. He was astride a throne, a great chair of wires and nodules, all strung together as they made their long journey into the depths of that eye, the Archon Lumavari's eye, obstructed, asleep, though in the background was still his presence, immense, pulsing with potential, causing the etheric air to ripple with a living tension. "Here to stop me, Keph?" Suvar snarled, baring his sharp teeth at me. "Here to bring some sense into you, smack it into you if needed." I floated closer to his throne and landed on the rectangular base. "Pathetic. Just like I thought. You're here to arrest me for your crooked Nyar masters." There was a surge from him. Anger, frustration, betrayal. "Whatever, buddy." I let his emotions roll right off me. "Just doing what I gotta do. Which right now means shutting down your crazy plan." "I'm not crazy!" Suvar shouted, his voice echoing across this dreamlike space. He stepped from his chair, standing upright. Yup, he was bigger than in the flesh, his snout longer, his ears more pointed, heavy muscles rippling under his coat of fur. "Well, what you're doing sure seems like it," I responded, doing my best not to be fazed. "Trying to drain all the Atra from this place? Trashing half the city? Out there in the Bardo, people are getting hurt. Good people." Burge and Rayleigh both stood in my energetic field, bolstering my confidence in my words. "No! We're not trying to hurt anyone. We just want to escape this corrupt system. Just want our freedom, away from all this Nyar politics, this secrecy and control. They're the ones hurting people, keeping thousands upon thousands of worlds enslaved as Atra producers, creating these fake planets, these hero cycles like on Garub, and even worse ones, worlds of utter control and order, designed to make the perfect Nyar soldiers. I've been shown the truth. I've seen where the off-stream really goes. It goes to enslaving us all, keeping us trapped in this never-ending system of Atra debts and virtue rankings, subservient to the monad and its ever-watchful eye, like his eye back there. The Archon Lumavari, so powerful, so all-knowing, but utterly useless, his godlike powers reduced to a ghost in a machine. His thoughts were laced with power. They rang deep within me, resonating with my inner self. I had the same worries as Suvar did. Ever since I had first connected with the monad, felt its nanites inside my flesh, its ever-present programs observing my every thought, judging my every action. Was Suvar right? Were we all just feeding energy into our own prison? I wondered what the universe would look like without all this, if we were unburdened, free. But wait a second, Suvar, I chimed in, trying to slough off his emotional torrent. How did you find all this out? Who showed you this truth? It was Ninda. She saw through their illusions, saw beyond their programmed reality with her powers. Then she showed me. The person you've been talking to isn't Ninda. More lies they fed you. No, like I said, your girl never ascended. She's off on your homeworld still. That thing you've been hanging out with is a Vaer agent, taking on Ninda's form and thought patterns. No! He swung a clawed hand in the air. I would know it. I would recognize her. I shook my head. Sometimes us yugs gotta realize when we've been had. I tossed him my best non-physical grin, accompanied by thoughts of acceptance. Suvar looked back at me and shook, his muscles popping out even larger than they had been a moment ago. He thrust his head up and let loose a howl, shaking the entire structure we stood upon. Then he leapt for me. I flew upward, moving my nimble etheric form to avoid his double-clawed slash. But immediately he was at me again, hacking away as his howl filled the chamber. In this realm of pure mind, he wasn't subject to momentum or fatigue. Here, physics meant nothing, but they meant just as little to me. I manifested my own weapon, like the nimble twist blades but formed of pure orange light. I dodged and leapt with ease as I moved at the speed of thought, meeting his claws with my light blade, or hurling bursts of kinetic energy to keep him at bay. We engaged in a duel of wits, a melee of the mind, clashing across that sublime battlefield, the blinded eye of the Archon looming behind us. But I was on the defensive, forced to react. I needed to stop him, but not kill him, not discorporate him. Suvar had no such compulsions, brimming with rage. He raked a claw at me. I raised my blade in defense, then floated backward. Suvar hurled his hulking avatar form my way, claws wide. I might have been caught in his deadly bear hug, but at that instant another body emerged from mine. Burge, clad in shining armor, golden warhammer in hand. He slammed into Suvar, knocking him back towards the throne, giving me time to float out of harm's way. As Suvar began to recover, Burge threw me a wink, and then quickly merged back into my astral form. I silently thanked him for the assist, but I knew I had to focus on the moment. Suvar was a whirlwind of claws and fury, seeming to grow with each attack. Every effort focused on annihilating me. The locale brimmed with Atra, but I knew I only had access to a fraction of it. There was no way I could match him for long, not here and now. And besides, my goal wasn't to harm him. There was only one option. Rayleigh, in my mind, pointed it out effortlessly. I had to disconnect Suvar from his power source. As he again threw his furry mass at me, I dodged aside. Then I injected a single thought packet into Suvar's mind, the concentrated power of my own doubts, my experiences with the Nayar on Aruvis, my own less than perfect ascension, and the fact that I didn't really fit in any more than he did. I let him see it all, even the scragged up stuff. He paused, floating in the air for an instant as he hesitated, contemplating the truth of what I had sent him. That was enough time. I gathered my Atra and I blasted, not at Suvar, but at the structure behind him, the throne whose connections plunged into the Archon's eye. Suvar howled, seeing the beam of silver light cascading from my palms. Bright as the noonday sun, it struck the construct and poured across it. I focused my willpower, visualizing the device dissolving, falling away, melting. That it did, and as the last of my light beam vanished into Suvar's structure, the entire thing began to crumble, floating off as its pieces broke apart. The chamber shook, cracks appearing on its outer shell. It shattered, its fragments fading away as they fell, soon melting back into the bardo. The Archon's great pupil dilated briefly, then contracted back down to its normal size. He was awake. Then me and Suvar were just floating there, before the eye of Lumavari, his titanic presence like a crushing weight, his unfathomable intellect observing us. There were no words from Lumavari, just his immense eye staring at us, judging us. It blinked, like the movement of a celestial sphere. In that instant, my reality flashed. I was back in my physical body, a tightness in my shoulders. I peered down at Suvar, limp but shallowly breathing in his chair. All the tubes and wires had disconnected from him and crashed to the ground. The room's ceiling was entirely gone, exposing us to the artificial sunlight. I shivered, feeling the coldness of sweat drying on my skin from the light breeze above. Suvar groaned as I tapped him on his shoulder. He said nothing, but opened one eye. He'd be fine, I figured. I stood fully erect and peeked around. No sign of the machine-bending craziness he had caused, other than some general wreckage. Neither was there sign of Tabalnak or Zirathra. I figured they were still hunting down the supposed Ninda. I let out a big sigh, rubbed my eyes, and then took a step towards Suvar's chair, ready to start dragging him out of there. The light from above was suddenly blocked, a wide shadow falling over me, a heavy whoosh and a waft of warm, floral air. Before I could look upward, I noticed a small figure descending. She floated to the floor, touching down soundlessly on her padded feet. Ninda, or what appeared to be Ninda, orange fur covering her petite figure, her big green eyes and button face looking like they'd belong on some kid's doll. She smiled innocently and waved at me.
"Don't worry,"
she chirped.
"I'm the real thing. No holograms here."
Not even sure what that means with you, girl. From what I gather, the real Ninda never left Garib. The fuzzy dog woman didn't answer, instead glancing at Suvar, barely conscious and shifting in his chair.
"Well, I guess that's over,"
she finally said, looking vaguely disappointed. Yup, took care of your boyfriend there. Messed up Yug, but really not such a bad guy. You, on the other hand? She looked up at me, hurt in her puppy dog eyes.
Aw, figured you'd have a better opinion of me, based on your past and what you and Suvar have been discussing. I hoped you'd start seeing things our way.
A way of chaos and destruction? Nah, I may not be top rank in the virtues, but I ain't that far gone.
Come on, Keph. You don't trust the Nayar any more than we do. You experienced what they did to your homeworld, taking it by trickery, nudging you into sneaking aboard the Vare station just so they could have an excuse to take back the planet. You've seen the underhanded things they do here in the Cosmic Conduit, and how it's all subterfuge and lies.
Yeah, I exhaled, not sure if I could bring myself to disagree. Maybe they're not the best, but...
But what?
What's the alternative? The Vare? Even worse.
No, come with us. We've acquired enough Atra to sustain us, to empower us. Away from all these lies, this deceit, you can finally be free.
I was silent, my palms sweaty, the room heavy. Ninda reached out her pawed hand. She was right. I didn't belong with the Nayar. This gig in Hundexel had been lonely as all scrag, and even before that I was pretty much fed up with all the Nayar double talk. A new chance. A choice. Freedom. It pulsed through my heart. I began to reach out my hand. I stopped myself. How do you even know what went down on Aruvis? There was something dirty off about her. Something familiar, even. A pull from deep in my chest.
I can see things, Keph. See your thoughts. It's a talent of mine.
Her eyes sparkled. Nope. Those thoughts have all been on lockdown since I came here, hidden by my stealth mind. There's no way you should be able to see through that. Who are you, Ninda? I narrowed my sunset orange eyes at her. A curious detail ran through my head. The soul-trapping gun. All known models in the possession of Vare agents. Spies. Whoever she was, she had to be a stealth mind like me. Had to be able to change how she looked. Her psychic signature. Know how to hack into the Nayar systems too. I knew this chick. Ninda opened her mouth as if to say something. I grasped the hand she had reached out. Then I reached out my own mind, looking down into the Canid girl's fiery green eyes and leaping into them. For an instant I gazed into her psyche, her memories, her patterns. In it was the expected. Her recent ascension, her second life before that, then the same sequence of events I'd seen in Suvar's thoughts. The battles against the Grim King, their fatal final fight, and a trail of former lifetimes before that. All of people on Garib. But no, that was all just smokescreen. There was more, hidden just beneath the veneer. A strong, dominating presence lurking there. I pushed through. Flashes, just flashes. A face I knew. Eyes of searing magenta, flesh of berry red. Minali, the shapeshifter, the assassin spy. She of the shifting visage. I opened my eyes and there she stood. No longer the short, canid girl, but a full-height woman, gazing at me with those surreal magenta eyes, a crooked grin on her blood-red lips. Oh no, you got me. She shrugged, not looking the least upset. It was you all this time, wasn't it, you scragger? Her impish grin got just a bit bigger as she flourished her bright orange hair, streaked with magenta to match her eye color. Indeed, love. Ninda's sitting pretty back on Garib, probably going through another round of reincarnation. She never got here. The only Ninda you've met is me. She winked. Huh, figured you'd be busy getting your ass kicked by Zirathra. That one? Doubt she could find me. You're not the only one who could use a stealth mind, Keph. That uptight Nayar's probably neck-deep in absorbers right now. Well, it's over for you here, girl. You're not gonna stab me unaware this time. I whipped out my twist blade, expanding it out to 4-foot length with a flick of my wrist. Oh, my offer still stands. I know.
Gurvath made you the same one over Aruvis. I didn't come here to discorporate you. In fact, she waltzed a step towards me. I came here for you.
Dugga crap. You're here to steal the Atra, manipulating Suvar to do it.
Sure, that was a little part of it. The other one was to find a rather special initiate who should have been on Team Veyer to begin with. It was you all along, Keph. That's what I was really after.
You getting a crush on me? I winked, but kept my twist blade raised. She giggled.
In a way, sure. Ever since I first ran into you, Initiate Keph, I realized there was something different about you. You don't belong with these people.
She gestured out at the whole city laid before us.
In their phony processing station, preaching virtues they don't even practice.
I opened my mouth, about to protest, but realized I didn't have a proper response to her.
You know it. You're wild, untamed. You crave freedom. Not some structured life where everyone is lying and backstabbing each other while preaching constantly.
I stood there with my mouth half open. Just like with Lord Governor Gurvath above Aruvis, I could feel the welcome in her words. The Veyer unity, like a collective energy flowing from Manali, reaching out to me. Within it was a lure, a promise of everything she had said. It felt tempting. Just take the hand of this luscious red girl and step into a new life, a better life, a free life. From behind me, I heard Suvar groan and cough. I stopped, shaking my head at Manali.
Come on, Keph. What are you waiting for?
Manali winked at me and tapped her foot. I backed away.
Problems?
She put a hand on her hip. Suvar, you manipulated him this whole time. Acted like you were the person he loved the most. Took him over, all while being his worst enemy.
It was what had to be done. Suvar was already broken before I found him. Sooner or later he would have turned on the Nayar anyway. You saw as well as I what they did to him.
Nothing compared to what you did to him. He was sad, alone. He was at his weakest, and you made it worse. Yeah, you're an asshole, Manali. The pull I had felt towards her a moment ago now vanished. She tisked and shook her head.
Such a shame to see someone like you, with such potential, held back by pity for this lesser life form. And to think I was already fantasizing about the delightful friendship we'd have had.
A millisecond, and she had a weapon in her hands. A gun, a curvy golden frame, and parts that looked like pure diamond. She pointed it and fired. But not at me. A radiant particle zoomed from its barrel, striking Suvar in the chest. His mouth popped open and let loose a rasp, as suddenly a jagged crystal sprouted from his chest, followed by a splatter of blood. Why? I mouthed, looking from the Veyer to the now discorporated Suvar.
Figured I'd come out of here with something of value.
She grinned fiendishly at me, then aimed the soul-stealing gun towards my face. Before she could fully line it up, I sliced my twist blade at the gun. The nanite-infused metal met with the crystal firearm and cut it in twain, the pistols broke in half, falling to the ground and shattering before it could fire. I swung my blade again at Manali, but that red monster was quicker. With a rapid motion, she raised her hand, and a sword of pure flame flashed into existence in time to block my swing. She followed with a stab aimed at my gut. I dodged aside, remembering just what one of her thrusts had felt like. More strikes, more parries or dodges. Manali fought like a fiery tornado, spinning and flourishing and moving about the room in a hard-to-predict pattern, as she hacked and slashed and stabbed at me. I did my best to counter, but despite all the training I had gotten since we last met, I was forced to react, struggling to match her pure speed and fury. I was still a rank 1, and Manali was? I had no idea. The monad still gave no info on the lady, probably due to those stealth powers of hers. Manali twirled her fiery sword, and a second tongue of flame erupted from its pommel. She spun the twinned blade through the air like a polearm now. Seeing an opportunity, I fired a plasma shot from my striker. but she was too quick, deflecting my blast with her twin blades. Then she was at me, a high-pitched melodic whistle coming from her lips. She thrust, slashed, and spun. I nearly dropped my weapon after I blocked a heavy upward strike, feeling the heat as we locked blades, my palms slick with sweat. "I will have you still, Keph," she hissed over the sound of her crackling blades. I pushed her off, trying to capitalize with a quick sideways slash. She dodged it effortlessly, grinning as she flipped her hair. An instant later, she sliced at me again, coming from my right with a quick flank strike. I was ready to meet it, but she followed up by flicking the other end of the fiery pole arm at me. I winced in pain as it seared into my side. I could feel my energy dissipating, sweat covering my body, my eyes drowsy, my movements heavy. I knew I couldn't keep this up much longer. Manali was just a few feet away, casually circling me, her movements predatory, whistling a mockingly sweet tune on her lips. She nodded to me, smiling suggestively. Manali gazed into my eyes, pursing her thick lips. The eyes had changed a bit, her irises dancing with magenta flames. Just looking into those eyes, there was a surge of heat through my body, coming in from my head and descending down to my loin. I took one semi-voluntary step towards her, feeling a heat igniting inside, like I was about to step into the arms of a lover. I remembered those dreams, even back before my ascension. Dreams of this red woman, watching me, calling to me. So familiar, so knowing. Was she some enchantress trying to bewitch me, even then? Or was this real? Everything grew hazy as I took another step forward. Her fiery blades were now gone, retracted. My hands had grown limp, my own weapon clattering to the floor. Then we were in each other's arms. Her scent surged into my nostrils. Her heat flowed over me, and for a moment I could forget where I was, who she was, who I was. She gazed into my eyes, ran a hand across the length of my chest. I wanted her, needed her. Her touch was like a fever. I leaned in closer. Our lips joined in a kiss, our tongues meeting in an electrical tingle that then surged down my throat and through my entire body. Then our essences crashed together in an invisible motion that was almost sexual, animalistic and divine all at once. It was soft and wet and visceral, but at the same moment carried an inner fire, an etheric caress that seemed to double the reality of it all. And I let loose a moan of ecstasy as our cores merged in molten passion. Then it all spun away, and I was elsewhere. Before me spread a world of great jungles, lit by leering red light. Amid hordes of enormous reptoid beasts, I sat upon a chitin throne and observed this savage planet, exalting in the atra of war and conflict, drawing untold vitality from the grand sacrificial battles of the natives below. Manali sat beside me. As gods of war, we stalked the skies on leathery wings, feeding on strife and even engaging in it ourselves. We made love in the heat of erupting volcanoes. We danced to the tune of discordant fungal hymns. We raced our ships across the stars. Then we once more stood face to face, her sweet aroma in my nostrils. Her neon magenta eyes met my orange ones, a grin on her pouted lips. That grin began to rapidly fade, as Manali let out a silent gasp. We were once more within the ruins of Suvar's broken apartment, a breeze blowing at my hair. Manali stepped back. "No," was her stifled whisper. She pulled away, forcing her gaze from mine, the dreamy stupor of a moment ago fading as she stumbled away. Manali looked at me again, shaking her head. "No, not you. It can't be you." Her eyes were wide, the black pupils dilated inside the magenta. It was a look of horror, amazement, perhaps both. What had she seen? Who had she recognized in me? It didn't matter just then. I seized the moment, pulled my twist blade back into my hand with a touch of telekinesis. Then I thrust forward, embedding it in her chest. She grunted, but did not fall. Instead, she looked at her wound, then at me, and began to giggle. My hand still on the twist blade, jolted with sudden pain. I reactively let go, seeing the weapon glowing red-hot inside of her. Within seconds, that red had shifted to a searing white, followed by my twist blade itself melting, its remains dripping down her bodice. I was ready to just body check Manali, but I had to step back, the air in front of her erupting in an explosion of green lightning, so bright it burned into my retinas. Before I could recover, I saw her thrust her hand backward towards Suvar's corpse. The crystal embedded in his chest squirmed, coming loose. It zipped through the air and landed in her free hand. I tried maneuvering towards Manali, but she pointed her open palm at me, flames spraying in my direction in a wide cone. I turned as fast as I could, raising an arm over my face and then rolling to the side, still feeling the searing hotness burning my jumpsuit and some of the flesh beneath. When I got to my feet, I was singed but not on fire. Manali stood on the other side of the room, her back to the wall, hands in a defensive stance. She had pocketed Suvar's crystal. I was about to contemplate my next move. What could I even do here? Two figures stepped through the open doorway. Zirathra, gleaming curved blades in her hands, followed by the bulky Tabalnak. They had a few scratches on them, their clothing torn in multiple places, but they both looked battle-ready. Manali had seen them too. She shook her head. I'm not gonna go solo against three of you. Bye. Before any of us could act, she stepped backward, through the wall, the edges of her form flickering and growing insubstantial, as Manali and everything on her phased right through. A few seconds later, I heard a heavy flapping sound from somewhere above. I jumped, hoisting myself over the broken wall of the apartment. In the distance over the cityscape was a craft like a grand red flower, waving its immense petals as it zoomed away, growing ever smaller. Scrag. I sat on the rim of the wall, peering at Zirathra through the broken ceiling, hoping there was something she could do. She just shook her head. Manali's flower ship vanished into the distance. Down below, the soulless body of Suvar lay still in his chair, discorporated and imprisoned by someone pretending to be the girl he loved. From my perch, I could see the rest of the city, everything in about a mile's radius looking wrecked and broken. It was all quiet, a stillness about. We had solved the crisis, brought some peace to the cosmic conduit of Hundexel, but I had a feeling this wasn't over. Not by far. The end of Season 3. Keph will return in Season 4. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Space God Memoirs. Space God is written, performed, and produced by A.M. Arctos. Original musical score by Alpha Colors. Various sound effects created by Industrial Strength Records Incorporated. Please support this podcast by following, rating, and sharing on your favorite social media site. For further info on Space God, its creator, and various other opinions, musings, and thoughts, go to www.spacegodmemoirs.com or follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. If you enjoyed the Space God Memoirs, please consider supporting us by becoming a patron. Check out the Patreon link in our description to learn more.